Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC 262, Oliveira versus Chandler, and I can't wait for this lightweight bout. The vacant lightweight world championship is on the line. The winner of this fight will be the new UFC lightweight champion. Do I agree with that? Maybe not. I do agree with it in the case of Oliveira. I don't believe that Michael Chandler has earned a chance to be called the UFC lightweight world champion. That title used to mean so much, and if Michael Chandler does win it, don't get me wrong, he will have earned it. He beat Charles Oliveira. I think the reason why they've made these two fight for the belt is because neither of them have lost to Khabib. The UFC don't really want to crown a fighter as champion who we know has lost to Khabib quite brutally. Otherwise, we can't really move on from the Khabib era. So it's a circumstance situation. These are the two top guys who don't have matchups booked, or who aren't Justin Gaethje apparently, because Gaethje's coming off a loss right now. They're two guys in the top five, both coming off of wins. Neither of them have lost to Khabib. That's who they want as a world champion, and I believe that Michael Chandler's going to go out there and put Charles Oliveira away in the first round. I understand fully why Charles Oliveira is the favourite in this bout. He has more ways to win. I think he's got the edge as the fight goes on. He's got more experience as well. He's been in the UFC for longer. He's fought better competition throughout his career, or has he? And I'm going to go into that in a second, but it's, as far as the casual eye can see, Oliveira's been in the UFC for ages. Chandler's been outside of the UFC. People are going to think that Oliveira's been taking on better competition, but I would argue that Oliveira's competition level outside of his last two fights of Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson, little bit stinky, to be honest with you guys. I don't know who is better between Benson Henderson and Nick Lentz. I really don't know. And if you look through Michael Chandler's record, is Sidney Outlaw better than David Tamer? I would maybe hazard a bet that he would beat David Tamer. Then you go down the list and you go to Yamauchi. Is that a better opponent than Christos Giagos? Like, some of these wins that Charles Oliveira has before his recent two are good wins, don't get me wrong, but they're still not quite great level opponents. Clay Guida, Christos Giagos, Jim Miller, David Tamer, Nick Lentz, Jared Gordon, all of these fights in the first round. Then he steps up in competition. He takes till the third round to take on Kevin Lee, and also takes Tony Ferguson to a decision. That does not go unnoticed to me. That's a very clear sign that Charles Oliveira can make very easy work against a bunch of unranked opponents in the lightweight division, but once he takes that step up, things seem to be a little bit more difficult for him. He does not have that first round ability anymore, and he said that his prediction was for this fight with Chandler that he was going to KO Chandler in the first round. I don't like that attitude from him, and I think he's trying to say that to try and dispel Michael Chandler from doing what Chandler is going to do, and that is sprint across the cage with arms in the air and just impose his will on Charles Oliveira in that first round. He's going to be a bundle of energy. He's going to lead the dance. He's going to push Oliveira backwards whatever way he can, make Oliveira shell up against the cage, and then look for that one big punch on Oliveira to put him down in the first round. And I think he's going to land that big punch in the first round. I like Oliveira's chances. I think there is a chance of a submission in the later rounds of this fight. But even still, man, we've seen Oliveira fight Tony Ferguson for 3 rounds, and all of a sudden, people think his cardio is fixed. Ferguson offered little to no resistance whatsoever in the grappling. I think Michael Chandler's takedown defense is a lot better than Tony Ferguson's. I think he will be able to stuff at least the first few takedowns of Charles Oliveira once they're both fresh in the early going of the rounds, and I think he's got good scrambles as well. I think he's more difficult to submit than Tony Ferguson, because he's such a blocky chunk of a human. There's not really too many limbs to really grab a hold of. There's not really a chance to get round his neck the same way there is with Tony Ferguson, because of how fucking he is built. He's built like a little juggernaut of a man, in all honesty. I think it's going to be very difficult for Charles Oliveira to get this one submitted, and I do see Michael Chandler winning the first round. And if I see him winning the first round, I see him winning in the first round, because one thing that Michael Chandler's record shows: first round KO over Sidney Outlaw's subpar competition level. First round KO over Benson Henderson. Benson Henderson's an old veteran. He's not with it anymore. He's probably done completely. Oh well, you KO'd him in the first round. steps up against Dan Hooker, the same way Oliveira stepped up from his lower level competition into the top leagues of the UFC, a guy who went 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier, and not only just went 5 rounds with Dustin Poirier, but won the Poirier fight while they were fresh in the first 2 rounds. He won the first 2 rounds on the feet against Dustin Poirier. Poirier finished McGregor in the second, okay? Chandler just walked in there and destroyed Dan Hooker. I understand that Dan Hooker just circled right into the punch the entire time. I really do understand. I don't think we can really blame Dan Hooker. I think it's just a sort of byproduct of being in there with Michael Chandler. He might not be better than Oliveira. He might not have a better jab than Oliveira. He might not have a better front kick than Oliveira. He might not have better jiu-jitsu than Oliveira. I know he doesn't have better jiu-jitsu than Oliveira. He might not have better wrestling than Oliveira. I think he's got good enough wrestling to keep the fight standing where he wants it, at least for the first round. Don't get me wrong. He might not have any of those things better than Oliveira, but one thing that I know Chandler has better than maybe anyone in the sport is self-confidence in the first round, to just get straight to work immediately into the fight with no issue of nerves or anything whatsoever. He is coming out the gate as soon as they sound that bell to start the round. He is sprinting across the cage, putting you on the back foot, making you shell up a little bit, and I think he's going to put out Charles Oliveira in the first round. And that's just my bet of how the fight's going to go. I like his attitude right now. I like where he's at in his career. I think he's on steroids. I mean, he's got all of the indicators to be a real good champion in the UFC. I feel like he's going to win this one. 35 years of age, does not seem to be aging in any way whatsoever, in all honesty. Maybe as the fight goes on, Oliveira can have a chance, but so long as Oliveira is going to be inside a first round with Michael Chandler, the question isn't, do you think Chandler can be better than Oliveira? I think the question kind of is, do you think Chandler's going to land a punch on Oliveira's chin? Because if he does, Dan Hooker had never shown any signs of a bad chin. Out, put down, finished off on the ground. One clean shot on the chin is all it took. I think he's going to land on Oliveira. I would bet on him at least landing, I would bet maybe my life savings on him landing 5 punches to the face in round 1 against Charles Oliveira. I would maybe not 5, maybe at least 4. I'd put a good amount of money on 4 times he's going to land on Oliveira's face. And Oliveira is a guy who has been KO'd before. I like that Chandler goes to the body as well. I think that's going to set up the head afterwards. I think he's going to go out there, touch up the body, go for some front kicks, just try and push Oliveira around a little bit in the first round, see what Oliveira has, and then he's going to go for the big blow upstairs. But when you look at Charles Oliveira, he's been TKO'd before in his career. Paul Felder, listen, I know Oliveira has really good jiu-jitsu, but Oliveira had really good jiu-jitsu when he started his UFC career. He was a jiu-jitsu phenom. I know maybe he's tightened things up recently and he's done a little bit better with his submissions. Maybe he's caught people in perfect situations. Kevin Lee was gassing out, shoots for a takedown terribly with his head on the outside, gets guillotine choked. Couldn't submit Tony Ferguson, but arguably did anyway. If that wasn't Tony Ferguson, that guy would have probably tapped to that armbar in the first round. But either way, I know Paul Felder was able to scramble out of those positions. I know this was a while ago. I really do understand that. 2017 December. Not that long ago, really. I think Oliveira was, 28 years of age back then? Paul Felder scrambled out of submission attempts. Oliveira saw a little bit of adversity, which we have not seen for Oliveira in any of his previous bouts, other than maybe being flash knocked down by David Tamer in the first round when he got a little bit overconfident in the first. Other than that, we haven't really seen any real adversity where he is actively losing, other than a flash situation that he immediately bounces back up from. I think in the Paul Felder fight, as soon as he started to lose, it's time to tap on the floor to strikes. As soon as he started to lose to Lamas, he gets guillotined. Loses to Pettis by guillotine as well, off a bad takedown attempt. Then you go in there against Max Holloway, got injured there, so I'm not really going to hold that against him. Cub Swanson got smacked there. That was a bad sign for me. He's been TKO'd before by Donald Cerrone. He's been submitted by Jim Miller. That's like, 4 TKOs in his career? The Cub Swanson one was bad as well, because I feel like he definitely could have continued fighting after that Cub Swanson KO. Don't get me wrong, Cub Swanson landed a big punch. I know that striking ability exists, but so does just basic level of chin. If Cub Swanson can one punch put you down and finish you, I think Chandler can as well. So my prediction just basically relies on, do I think Chandler's going to be able to land a big shot in the first round? And I think he will. And I think when he does, he's not going to be hitting like Tony Ferguson. He's not going to be hitting like Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee's got real pillow hands as well. Tony Ferguson, not really known for his power in the 155-pound division. Not many KOs in that division. I know at 170 he had a bit of power early in his career. But, you know, other guys in Charles Oliveira's career, Jared Gordon, these guys aren't hitting like Chandler. These guys aren't on roids like Chandler. He is on roids. He has ridiculous, monstrous power. I think he's going to put Oliveira out cold. Really badly. The Cub Swanson KO is weird to me. He got hit with a punch. He was okay, but he knew he was losing after that because he got concussed, so he just sort of flopped to the canvas completely. I worry about any sign of adversity for Charles Oliveira. I trust in the mental fortitude of Michael Chandler. I trust in his switched-on ability in that first round. This might not be the case of who the better fighter is overall and who is the more well-rounded guy. This might just be the case of who is going to be more switched on to kill another man in the first 2.5 minutes of an MMA fight. I think it's going to be Michael Chandler, and I think he puts Oliveira out real bad, and he's the underdog. I'm taking that 100% as the underdog. But Oliveira's got a good chance, and I would actually rather Oliveira become champion because I think he's a more worthy champion if he does win than Chandler is by beating Oliveira. But I know if Chandler gets a belt, no one's going to see him as a champion. If Oliveira gets a belt, people might consider him the best lightweight in the world right now. He will get more respect. But I know that if Chandler takes that lightweight belt, bullshit, 2 fights in the UFC, already paper champ, I can already see all of the things that are going to be said. We'll see how he does against Gaethje or Poirier. I can see all of it already. I feel like he's going to win. I think the next fight to make after this is him versus a winner of Poirier-McGregor 3. That would make the most sense. I think he should be cage side for that as well. I know it's May right now, which means 2 months later, they're going to be having the Poirier-McGregor 3 bout, so let's have him cage side there. Try and build some kind of hype around the winner of that, taking on Michael Chandler, if he does win against Oliveira. I want Justin Gaethje to get off his fucking ass. I'm sorry, Justin Gaethje. This needs to be said. I don't know why no one else is saying it to you. Fight RDA, get a win, and you'll be in an ultimately much better position. A much better position. You're wasting your prime of your career. Please hurry. You have not got much time left, Justin Gaethje. Let's get a fight on our hands. Maybe Rafael Dos Anjos in August or September. Something like that. If he wins that one, we can consider him for a title shot then. But while he's coming off a loss, and an embarrassing loss to Khabib. I know he had some moments against Khabib, but he got finished quicker than anyone else who fought Khabib. Like, he made Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier's performances look really good against Khabib. We can't have you fight coming off that loss. That just can't happen in my opinion. Let's try and get this lightweight division moving. Let's get Islam Makhachev, Gregor Gillespie, or Dan Hooker versus Islam Makhachev maybe. Then we'll do like Gregor Gillespie versus some random guy. Let's get the Fizievs into the rankings. Let's get the Thiago Moiseses into the rankings. Let's get the Arman Sarukians towards the rankings. Let's get Brad Riddell up the rankings. Like, we got to start moving with the lightweight division because I feel like nothing's going on right now. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. I've got Michael Chandler in the first round. Kaboom. Toodle pip.